and everything that's in God's Word. If you think of Matthew, I believe it's Matthew chapter 7, where it talks about the man who built his house on the rock and the man who built his house on sand. You know, these men both built a house, and they both had storms, but only one stood because he built his house on the rock. So when you look at the Founding Fathers and how they had this faith of marching out into battle, because a lot of times in different accounts, you might have only had 3 to 4 rounds marching out into war against the British, who were well equipped. They had all the food, they had all the clothes, they had all the men, all the ammunition, all the money, every bit of that, every material item you could think of that an army had, the British did. Every material item that they had, the Americans really didn't. But the one element the Americans did have was a faith in the Lord that really set them apart. If you like to pass this around, this was a 75 caliber musket round. This is a 1730 model ground best musket that was a very standard firearm for both the American Continental regulars and then also the British regulars. So this is what this gun shoots, a 75 caliber round, almost an ounce and a half of lead. So, and you just think about this having a line of troops getting shot at with that round. So you think about marching out into battle. Of course, Francis Marion and his men, they did more of guerrilla warfare tactics because they found that to be most effective. But still, you're going up against great numbers of British. So what gave them that element of courage? Where did that come from? Do you know what the colors of the flag represent? Red, white, and blue. Red, of course, representing courage. White representing purity, and blue representing justice. So looking at the biblical perspective of purity, in Ephesians chapter 5, it talks about how Christ comes for the bride, being the church, as the groomsman comes for his bride, and that's the depiction of marriage. But it talks about how Christ's blood washes us whiter than snow. That's where purity comes from. So you have that flag specifically, or that color in our flag specifically representing purity. So you look at John Adams. John Adams said this: "The Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other." So if our Constitution was made to work this way, to secure the blessings of liberty, as it says in the preamble, for posterity. And you know what posterity means? Future generations. It's for those who do not exist right now, but for future generations. So, different subject, but in relation to it, our Constitution secures the rights of the unborn, just to say. And life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness is made mention in the Declaration of Unalienable Rights endowed by our Creator. So, you're keeping that in mind. If the Constitution was made to have morality to work with it, it's just like a car. Simple mechanics: can a car work for substituting water for where oil goes? Won't work. The car will get burned up because you put something in there that was not meant to be. It might run for a little bit, but it's not going to work for how it was designed. Same thing happens with a nation. For this reason, Romans chapter 13 is very specific. It outlines what government is supposed to do and not supposed to do. Government is made to uphold good and protect it, suppress evil and punish it. Genesis 9 verse 6, after the flood, Noah came out of the ark, and the Lord established a covenant with him with a sacrifice that Noah made. And in Genesis 9 verse 6, it says that no man is to shed another man's blood unless his own blood is to be shed, which is simply establishing capital punishment, which all governments are based on, good government. What happens if sentences are not carried out against an evil work? Well, according to God's word in Ecclesiastes chapter 8, if you have a Bible, always feel free to turn there, but Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11, it says this: "Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil."